Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report and then check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. You go to www.dynamicsolutions2, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
And go. All right, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. If you like today's show, you can find me through Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com. If you like the show, you can go to sign up to become a member at OppermanReport.com, our members section. I know we're having a little bit of trouble with the members section with the passwords. It should all be resolved by the next couple of days, okay? OppermanReport.com. And if you want to check out our free archives, they're at Spreaker.com. SPREAKER.com. You can find the free archives. Listen to the show for free. There's a chat room. You get an email notification whenever we put up new content. Our guest today is Joseph L. Flatley. And he's got a podcast called The So-Called Prophet from Pittsburgh. A fascinating story here. He sent me this email about mind control and rock and roll and all kind of stuff that are up our alley here. So right away I grabbed him to come on the show. He was kind enough to come on right away for me. Rock and roll, mind control, and your new favorite podcast that you could find at LennyFlatley.com. Mr. Flatley, are you there?
I'm there. I'm here, and it's LennyFlatley.net. So just make sure. Make sure we get that right. And yeah, it's or you can search for it on iTunes or Spotify. And thanks for having me on, Ed.
No, thank you so much. So tell us about yourself. Who is Joseph L. Flatley?
Well, I'm a investigative reporter and a writer. I'm based here in Pittsburgh. Kind of got started a little late. I had always wanted to be a writer and was always interested in journalism, and it just never occurred to me that it was something I could do. I think I kind of was a late bloomer. And then when I was 30 years old, I was a museum security guard, minimum wage, just like super depressing job and super depressed. And I wrote a novel, and I had this crazy idea that someone was going to read it and offer me a job, which, of course, would never work out that way. So I wrote it and self-published it, and somebody read it and offered me a job. So I've been writing probably for the last 10 years. And I live in Pittsburgh because it's cheap, and I like to kind of do these investigative deep dives where I can really spend a lot of time, and, I can self-publish if somebody's not interested. And, I just decided I really wanted to do a long form serial style podcast. And I found a cult leader who was from Pittsburgh, and it was just like the perfect story. So after a year of chasing leads and driving around the country, it's finally come out.
Yeah, and look at this, man. You wrote all these books you didn't tell me about. All this stuff. I asked you if you had anything you want to promote. You said,
I wasn't even thinking. Yeah, of course. I've written 4 books, a novel, and I've done a couple. My latest one is about Rainbow Farm. It was a marijuana, like a libertarian marijuana campground in Michigan that had an armed standoff, and the 2 owners were wiped out by the FBI and the federal government. And that was right before 9/11, so a lot of people haven't heard about it.
Really? Yeah, I haven't heard about that. And I used to travel around with the Rainbow family. I was one of the yippies back in New York City in the 70s. So that's right up my alley. And all this other stuff, too. The Finders. You wrote a book about the Finders, Lost and Found, about the Finders cult down in Tallahassee, down there, Florida. And the other one, what's this one here? Satan Goes to the Mind Control Convention. I think I actually read that.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've sent you. I think I've sent you PR about that. I think like the Finder stuff and the Satanic Panic stuff, we probably will have to agree to disagree on. Okay. But we're definitely interested in the same subjects. That's for sure.
Well, that's interesting. But okay, then I have heard of you before. But now, what do you make then of this guy, the geologist who found the room underneath the garage there at the McMartin house?
To be perfectly honest, when I was researching this stuff, that was before. I think that happened like afterwards, or I was just unaware. Like what I've heard you say is very interesting. I don't know where I stand on it. I haven't.
Okay.
I'm not on the member section.
Oh, well, then why do we even have you on the show then? You're not a member. Like, the guy just outed himself. He just outed himself as not being a member. Okay. Anyway, listen, let's get to this one here. The so-called prophet from Pittsburgh. Who is this guy? A fascinating guy himself. You can just look at his pictures and you can kind of see where his head's at. So what's the story with the so-called prophet from Pittsburgh?
All right. Well, the beginning, I was at a party once, probably about 2 years ago, and a friend of mine came in and he was all excited. Like me and my friends like to look up odd, unusual stuff on YouTube, and he was all excited. He came in and he said, "You got to see this band. The name's Tallius Van, and the song is called Energy Master. You got to check this out." So I Googled it, and it was just this really crazy. The song wasn't super crazy. It was kind of just this like hippie-ish music. It wasn't the best music, but there was something about the guy, the lead singer, that was just so amusing to me. And I found out, I Googled it, and I found out that this guy was not only a cult leader, and the people in the band were his cult, but he was also from Pittsburgh. So I I just started researching, and this was about 3 years ago. His name is Tony Delavin, and basically he was a kind of a musician that never got anywhere with his music, and his wife left him, and he was kind of depressed, and his daughter passed away. So he did what any of us would do if their career was stalled, and moved to Arizona and changed his name to Gabriel. And now he has 100 followers. They live in a compound. He's got 2 wives that he has kids with, and they have a radio station that just plays his music in Tucson. So like a complete transformation. And him and his followers are just in this compound waiting for the world to end, so they think that they're going to be the new leaders of society after, like, whatever the next big societal collapse or change is.
And when did he start? When did all this start?
1989 is like the official date they give. They have their organization is called. They have a couple names. They live in this compound that they call Avalon, and it's supposed to be like the new Garden of Eden. And their organization is called the Global Community Communications Alliance, which became a corporation under a former name in 1989. So they've been there since 1989. They have 2. Now they're starting to have the 3rd generation of people. So it's really fascinating.
And how did this guy initially attract his followers?
Well, there's a New Age book that's pretty popular. It's called the Urantia book, and it's this odd book. It's supposed to be a revelation from God that the author, the true author, is anonymous. The people who believe in this book say that it was written by celestial beings and given to man, but it was first published in Chicago in 1955, and Gabriel adopted that as his own. So now, so he kind of started it as a like a New Age teacher, and him and his common law wife, they're not legally married. Her name is Nancy, but he calls her Neon. That's her cosmic name. So Gabriel and Neon started this spiritual community where they kind of discussed New Age and spiritual ideas and his teaching, and then it kind of became a thing over the years where they started having people move to Sedona with them. They were based in Sedona at the time, and they would study together, and he would come up with new teachings. And it really started kind of from humble beginnings, and then he started having people tithe their, a percentage of their income, and then he was still living in a teepee. He wasn't doing super hot. And then they just decided to start having everybody hand over all their possessions to him. And so now, he's living like a king, as far as I can tell.
Oh, yeah. You look at this. Where are they located now? Because you look at these pictures on the website. This is a beautiful piece of property they got here.
Yeah, that's a ranch in Tumacacre, Arizona, which is the closest town is Tubac. It's about 20 miles north of the Mexican border, and they were living in they were all living in Sedona. And the problem with Sedona is it's not great for agriculture, and also there was no place for them to all live together. And of course, if you have followers that you want to kind of dictate their reality, you want to get them, hunkered down somewhere in solitude, relative solitude. So they somehow, and it's still a mystery. I have some theories, but I don't think I can talk about it on the air. But I'd love to talk to you about it off the air. Somehow they came into money and were able to move to Tucson and use that as a staging area. And they bought this it's like an old movie ranch. I think it was 160 acres or something. And over a course of a few years, they turned it into a community that was suitable for 100 plus people, and made that move.
Okay, well, yeah, I wonder how you make money down there by the Mexican border. That's always been a mystery to me. Now, okay, so he's got about 100 followers, and what is his teaching? What is their philosophy? Something extraterrestrial involved?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of complicated because a lot of what he teaches is kept out of the public. He has, however, published and made available 3 books, and some of his sermons are online. And really, he kind of preaches that this woman, his common law wife, he refers to as his spiritual complement. They are like, they're at the top. God has a hierarchy, and they're at the top of Earth, or what they call it Urantia, but it's Earth. They're at the top of Earth's hierarchy, and his followers are below him on the hierarchy, and everybody else on the planet is below them. So they are just basically allegedly supposed to be waiting for whatever will happen at the end of the world, and then they will be the new leaders of humanity. And what that translates into is a lot of getting up early and working in the garden and doing menial labor and working in the various businesses that this nonprofit church owns. So, obviously it's a nonprofit. Nobody has there's a lot of assets that are being controlled by Gabriel that belong to the church. We're talking millions of dollars. And that's, you can accumulate a lot of equity when you have people working with you for free for 20 years.
Now, and how is the end of the world to come about, according to?
I actually went there, and that's kind of an interesting story. I went there for just a Sunday service, and looks like Earth, I'm not entirely clear because I don't think that their teachings are necessarily all that clear. It's more a matter of like scaring the bejesus out of Gabriel's followers to keep them in line. But Earth changes mostly. They're doing a lot of. I went to this church service. I'll tell you, Ed. I got there, and these people, they live in this compound. They're not allowed to use the internet. They don't really talk to people outside at all. They have no idea what's going on in the news. And I got there, and the first thing they did was, I get in this room with 100 other people for this church service, and the first thing they did was turn on this big TV and start showing conspiracy theory videos like Earth changes, end of times, end of days stuff. And I asked them about it, and they said that this was their, alternative news segment because fake news is so pervasive in society that they want to like give their followers the real deal. But, of course, there is no, their followers don't get fake news, quote unquote fake news, because they don't get any news. So obviously it's just this whole end times thing is a matter of scaring people to follow the leader. And it seems to be really effective.
Do they seem happy?
They do. I mean, to an extent, it's like, I go in there, I roll in there, and, they don't let, they only have the best people come out. If somebody's disaffected or grumpy or wants to escape, they're not going to have them interact with me. I was only interacting with church elders and people who specifically, knew the party line. Talking to ex-members, I've talked to a number of ex-members, and, it's interesting because they don't, some people seem to really thrive in that environment because you don't have to. I'll turn off my ringer. Some people really seem to thrive in that environment because they don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to think for themselves, but is that really happy, or is that just, making the best out of a crazy situation?
Now, you went in there undercover, or you went in there invited? How'd you get in there?
Oh, yeah, undercover. I had been investigating the group loosely for about 2.5 or 3 years, and pretty hardcore for about a year by the time I made it out to Arizona. And I was, it's a pretty big no-no in journalism for the most part to give a fake, to give them a fake name and to go in undercover. But in this, there was just I had no real option in this case, because I was on their radar. I was assured by ex-members and people who had been in their security, security group that trolls the internet looking for critics of the prophet, that they knew who I was. So I gave them a lame excuse. I gave them like a fake first name, and they let me in.
Do you think they checked you out before you got down there?
Well, so do you remember that dancer Michael Flatley?
No.
Do you recall that name? It's just goofy. Like he used to have shows on PBS about his Irish step dancing or whatever. But if you Google his name, you get like 50,000, 100,000 hits because he's famous all over the world. So I gave him his name, figuring they would Google that and just get fed up when they tried to like scroll through to find me. So I'm sure they tried to do some research. I had to send them a photograph, like a clear photograph of my face.
Really?
They said, "Don't wear glasses. We want to see your eyes." When I got there, I had like 2 phone interviews before I went there. One was like 45, 50 minutes long. They frisked me when I got there. When I got there, I saw security cameras, and so they take security seriously for sure.
Well, then, don't you think they would have checked out your phone number, or your address and something like that, and found out, invested you that way?
I don't think they're the most competent at the same time, like they've tried stuff like making like phony email addresses to sign up for my newsletter so they keep an eye on me, but then like the person who did it forgot and put their real name in it. So like they're not really, they're on their own planet, and I think they take security very seriously, and I know they do, having spoken to people that were involved in their security. But at the same time, who's the real enemy for them? It's, what's really important is not keeping the world out as much as keeping their members inside.
Now, is this one of those kind of situations where the members are encouraged to remove themselves from their families and not contact their former loved ones? Is that a problem going on here?
Oh, absolutely. They when you express an interest in joining, and it could be through a number of ways you could discover them. They're building what they call an eco village, which is something that's pretty common in like alternative culture. They're trying to build a place that has that's sustainable, that uses recycling, composting, and solar power, all that stuff. So people will go there for workshops on ecological stuff, or they own a tour guide company in Sedona called Spirit Steps Tours. So people will go for a tour of Sedona, and any way they get them, the people will start when they start going, visiting, the group will put on a best face and keep like the troublemakers away from them. And then there's a 6-month initiation process where you go there and you're love bombed, and people are just really trying to sell the community to you. And it goes on for like 6 months, and you don't have to follow all the harsh rules that everybody else does. And then after 6 months, if you want to go in, you have to hand over everything you own. You have to change your name. They end up changing your name, so you have a new identity. You don't own anything, so if you try to leave, you are, you have no resources. And then they work really hard to keep you separate from your family. They say that the compound is in a protective radius. I think it's like 3 or 5 miles, and if the world ends and you're outside of the radius, you're going to die. So they use a lot of like this kind of this propaganda and psychological tactics to keep you there, and to strip away your identity. And once you're there, they have various kind of behavior modification and surveillance systems in place to always have a tab on you.
What about these abuses you always hear with other cults and stuff like that, of sexual abuses and that kind of thing?
Well, this leader, Gabriel, a.k.a. Tony, as far as I can tell, that's not his thing. He never even, there were like instances that I've heard where he's had multiple partners, which of course is not the same as sexual abuse, and it's not illegal. But even that, he kept under wraps, and all you really hear are rumors because, he says that he's one of his teachings is that he's so spiritually advanced he can have multiple partners, but nobody else can. So it's like, so it's not really, as far as I can tell, I've definitely never heard of any like sanctioned sexual abuse or physical abuse of anybody, but I have heard rumors about members taking advantage of like men and older boys taking advantage of younger girls, and that's kind of swept under the rug. I don't think that the cult wants the headache of dealing with that, and they also, part of their belief is that their prophet Gabriel is the smartest person in the world, so he's going to be able to handle it better than the courts or the cops. So they're not going to call law enforcement. However, all that said, one of their former teachers just pled guilty to sexual misconduct and went to jail for 7 years. He was an ex-member of the group. He had fled, and he was the father of Gabriel's grandson. And Gabriel, declared him public enemy number one and dug up some evidence that or heard that this guy was having an affair with a 14-year-old girl, and they called the cops on him. So, which tells me they're not beyond calling the police as far as punishing their enemies, but as long as there are all these other instances that I know he's aware of that nothing's ever been done.
So this ex-member who was just convicted, these were crimes that took place while he was a member or after he was a member?
Yeah, so he was married to the prophet's daughter, and they had a kid, and she, as far as I can tell, she got sick of him and kicked him out of the house. So in this kind of weird time between him getting a divorce and him fleeing the compound, he had an affair with a 14-year-old girl, and it didn't come up until a year later. This guy was going to the compound to pick up his son for his court-appointed. He had him on weekends or something, right. And when he went to pick up his son, the sheriff was there, and he spent about a month in jail, and then he fought it for the better part of a year, and then in December, right before Christmas, he pled guilty and went away to a lesser charge and went away for 7 years because he was looking at basically spending the rest of his life in jail. They had 10 counts against him originally, but there was no evidence. But I did see a video of the victim I guess it was the court-appointed social worker, and she didn't seem to be making this up. So I don't think, the prevailing theory was that this cult leader had made her lie to go after his ex-son-in-law. But I think it was more, I don't think that that's what happened. And I don't think that this kind of sexual abuse is something that would happen in this cult, that would be, that the cult would condone or even want to do. But it's a screwed up little community, and all kinds of screwed up stuff can happen. I think it's more a lack of oversight on the part of the leadership than, some kind of ruling or belief or something.
And how were you able to see this video?
Someone got their hands on it. A source,
Okay, and okay, all right. Let's take a little commercial break. All right.
Okay.
We're with Joseph L. Flatley. Joseph L. Flatley. You could find his website at lennyflatley.net.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about his podcast called The So-Called Prophet from Pittsburgh, about this guy named Devlin. Now, and where can people? When do you release new broadcasts? How often?
They're coming out every Tuesday this month for the month of January and February, and then I'm going to do bonus content over the weekend, so bonus interviews and stuff. So if you become interested in the story, which it's pretty good, there'll be a lot for you to listen to these next couple months.
Okay, well, to do, check out his books. He's got a bunch of books that are on topics that we cover here all the time, the Finders, and this marijuana cult. I'd love to have you. Well, not cult, but this marijuana standoff thing. I'd love to have you come back and talk about that. We'll
Sure
be right
thing.
back with more of Joseph Flatley right after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey, check out our brand new sponsor, Dynamic Solutions 2. That's the number 2. They offer a life-changing, dynamic financial solution. The finest in fast, professional, affordable credit repair. Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report and then check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. They have affordable monthly prices. They accept Visa, MasterCard, PayPal options available. You go to www.dynamicsolutions, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions. 424-888-2820. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. You get a 10% discount. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're talking about the rock and roll, mind control, and your new favorite podcast, Joseph L. Flatley. You can find him at lennyflatley.net. His podcast is called The So-Called Prophet from Pittsburgh. And you can catch that on iTunes, Podbeam, Spotify, CastBox, and TuneIn. So, Mr. Flatley, you spoke to some ex-members of this cult. What are they? What is their complaint? Because so far it doesn't sound that bad.
Well, I mean, we haven't even scratched the surface. This guy, I mean, even if all things, even just the fact that he takes all their money, these people join, he takes all their money, and that's it. Like, if they get they've handed everything over to him. If they start getting Social Security checks, he takes it. He takes their credit cards and maxes it out. They have like a trailer on the premises that's just full of everybody's possessions that they've taken from them, and that like the royal family can go and take what they want, but the regular people don't have it. So they're it's basically slave labor, and on top of that, the social condition is pretty terrible. They have two main ways of keeping people in line. They have something called the chip game, which is it's not a game and it doesn't actually involve chips, but what it is basically if anybody has any incorrect actions, incorrect as defined by the guru, incorrect actions or thoughts even, they'll get reported. They'll get a what they call a chip, which is like a punishment form, and all the forms go to the leader. So what that means is at any given time, not only is everybody petrified that they're going to get busted, but at any given time, the leader has a total map of his followers' actions and even their thoughts. And they have a behavior modification program called Personality Integration and Rehabilitation Program, which is basically if you really misbehave, they have mandatory counseling and series of mandatory counseling and various like disciplinary infractions to keep you in line. So if you're not constantly acting like you are totally in love with the leader and behind everything he has to say, they can make your life really miserable really quick. And then they separate from you from your family outside. So even if you want to leave, you haven't been making money for years. You can't, your parents are sick of you because you told them off and you burnt that bridge. You can't get out and get a job because you haven't had a job for years. You can't, get an apartment because you don't have, a rental history. So no, it's pretty rough. And it's definitely not Jonestown. It's not that bad. But it's no place you'd want to live. That's for sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, these people, they go into this consensually. They're not incompetent. These people aren't declared incompetent, being taken advantage of. Have there been any police investigations into all this?
No. There've been a couple. There've been a couple looks in the major media. Dateline, say in 1998, I believe, and there's actually that's really about it. And like there was some newspaper. It's mostly regional newspaper. Every once in a while they look at it. Poor medical care. They're not getting the medical care they need. You're right. People go into it consensually, but the truth of just the poor living conditions is hidden from them until they're in a position where they can't really leave. So it's ugly.
Okay, and you're saying that there's like an online community of former members that are disgruntled, right? That are
sure,
right. And you're involved in that community.
Yeah, after I discovered this group, I wasn't thinking about it as a story. I posted a video, just kind of like took a video of this Gabriel guy's band and posted it and made fun of it on YouTube and a little bit. And an ex-member got a hold of me and was like, dude, you don't know the half of it. So we started talking, and then he put me in touch with several other ex-members. And I really still wasn't planning on doing a story just because I didn't know what the story would be other than, people live in a cult and they're miserable. It's like, I don't know that that's like super compelling. But then the prophet's leader left, the prophet's daughter left. She was like 30 years old and she fled, and she knows all the dirt. So like there's your major conflict because he's freaking out. He wants his daughter to come back. she doesn't want to go back. So I went to Arizona. I spent a week with her and her boyfriend, who also were in the group, and they just started introducing me to people. And there's people all over the country, and that, all their stories are different. And look, this is America, and people can believe what they want to believe. I'm not even trying to get this place shut down or anything, but I just want people to know, when they Google the Global Community Communications Alliance or Gabriel of Urantia, I want people to know you're going to join. They're going to tell you one thing. You're going to give away everything you own. Next thing you know, you're going to be out in the middle of the woods and in the middle of the desert, and you're in trouble because there's nowhere to go and you don't own anything. So, I mean, that's really all I hope to get out of this. And it's an interesting story. People will have to listen to all 5 hours of it.
And you've been traveling across the country. Who's funding all this?
Oh, it's coming out of my pocket. I went out west. A magazine paid for that, and then they ended up getting threatened by the cult's lawyers, and they pulled the story. But they had paid the expenses, so that paid for that. And then the other members I met were closer to me in the Midwest, so that wasn't super expensive. But it takes a long time to fully report out a multi-part investigation like this. So I've just had to, pay for it out of my own pocket. I have credit cards, and then, when I live in Pittsburgh and it's cheap, and I can always jump in the car and drive Lyft for a few hours if I'm really desperate.
I got you. Now, what about, I'm noticing too, there's a lot of these guys, they're not afraid to sue people, right? They filed a lawsuit against the Herald and stuff like that. They threatened your magazine about suing you. Now, have you heard from them since you started this podcast?
No, I know they're aware of it, because some current members are in touch, even though they're not supposed to be, with former members. And I can tell that they're hitting my website. I can look at the traffic and stuff. So, I think they were waiting for it to come out, and it's been out for so little that, for such a short period of time, 2 days, 1 day, really.
Oh, really? Okay.
They might not. Yeah. It came out yesterday. So, they might not even know about it yet. So I'm expecting that call or that letter pretty soon.
Yeah. Now, have you given them an opportunity to have you contacted them and say, hey, give me your side of the story?
I did, after I visited them, and they just totally shot me down. And I didn't follow back up when when I finished the podcast, because they already shot me down, and I know there's no real point. I'm really telling the stories of these ex-members and their experiences, and if they had been at all open to communication, I would have been more than happy to take their statements. Okay, but I don't think this is that kind of story.
Have you sent them an email though, saying, "Hey, I'm about to do this podcast. I'm talking about you. Would you like to give me your side of the story?"
No, not since I initially contacted them a few months ago.
Okay. All right. And how many of these ex-members have you been in contact with?
Well, I think there are 6 of them in the podcast. I've probably spoken to more like 18, 12, 15, over a dozen.
And what have they experienced like trying to leave? Have they been prevented from leaving, or just the fact that they gave away all their money and now they have nothing left?
Well, you have to understand that these people are pretty inclined to believing new age spiritual stuff anyways. And then, the group does a really good job of, if you're inclined to believe that, really driving home that God is speaking through this man. And if you leave, he's going to strike you down. God's going to make you sick, or, so, there's a lot of, it's almost like a hangover or a decompression period when you leave, just trying to, you've been thinking this other person's thoughts. You've been in this high control group for so long that just getting used to living in the real world. You haven't been going to stores. You haven't been working. You've been around the same 100 people for 10 years. there's a lot of psychological reasons to stay. And then when you leave, you usually have to sneak out, not because they'll keep you there. They'll let you leave, but you leave with nothing. So everybody I've spoken to, or they convince you to stay. That happens a lot. People say they're going to leave, and then they convince them to stay. I've even spoken to somebody who got out, and they talked them into coming back. So, I mean, it's a very persuasive group. So when people leave, they have to somehow make contact with people outside the community, plan on getting a ride, plan on sneaking stuff out just so they have like the very basics. More than, if you go to them and you tell them you're going to leave, they'll say fine. They'll open the gate, give you a bottle of water, and say so long. And all you have are the clothes on your back and a little bottle of water. So
now, has anybody left and tried to file a lawsuit saying, "Hey, I was taken advantage of, and I want my money back"? Has anybody tried that?
No, I mean? And I've asked people about that, and it doesn't seem to be an option for these people. I mean, the people I'm talking to are all really still dealing with the emotional fallout of having been in the new Garden of Eden and then being cast out, so to speak, having had to leave. People, they often leave and they keep one foot in the door, psychologically, if not literally. They really, they believe that this guy was speaking for God for so long that it's tough to snap out of it.
And the people you're in contact with, what kind of sums of money are we talking about here that they turned over to this group?
Well, it's not often very much. It's like a few $1,000s in a van, a couple credit cards. Some of the people I've talked, to were born in there, so obviously they didn't have anything. But it's really where the wealth generation comes from, is having people work for free for years. Okay. When they own a hospice, so their patients, they're getting money from Medicare, and then their director, let's say on the outside she would make $80,000 a year, on the inside she's not making anything, and there's a lot of ways you can build up some equity if you're not paying anybody.
Right. So you have ex-members who have they've been damaged psychologically. Have any of them sought treatment with doctors and therapists outside after?
Yeah, they all seem to be in therapy, and they all seem to be in various, dealing with it, to different degrees. Some of them get out and they're really just kind of like obsessed with like going after this guy, and it might not translate into like a lawsuit, which you think it would, but it translates into a lot of like obsessing and posting videos. And, I think the first step is really people getting to know each other and coming to terms with what they've been through, and with what they've been through and with what other people have come through, and kind of healing a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if it turned into more, lawsuits or more practical steps. Also, they've been trying to get journalists involved, and this isn't a story that I'm the only one that's been crazy enough to take it on, it seems.
But the thing is, too, is there hasn't been a lawsuit yet.
Nope.
Okay, and you have about 18 people you're talking to, right?
Mm-hmm.
and the organization, this place here, with this big piece of property, they've got a lot of money, right?
Sure. Yeah, they have several. Like a lot of churches have funded themselves through cottage industries. So these guys they own a performing arts venue in Tucson. They have a radio station. Well, that's a nonprofit. They're not making money off that. They own a hospice, which is a big one. They own, a day spa, a tour company, a real estate company, which, as far as I can tell, is mostly geared towards trying to just sell some of their unused property, and they don't seem to be doing that well. But they're like the leader's former mansion in Sedona is now a vacation rental that goes for something like $100,000 a night to like, depending on the season. So, I mean, they have lots of ways to make money.
Okay. I'm sure they have insurance too. All right. Well, we're going to be talking off the air, my friend. Okay. You and me are get into a little partnership here.
Sounds
we're going
great.
to take these guys to the bank. What do you want to leave us with, man? We got about 5 minutes left.
Like I said before, this is a fascinating story, and as I started getting into it, one of the reasons I picked it up was because I was listening to some podcasts and they were doing a story about Heaven's Gate, and I just thought, not another Heaven's Gate. Everybody does Jonestown, everybody does Heaven's Gate, but I've got this cult that actually still exists that nobody's talking about. And I realized really quickly the reason why is because Jim Jones isn't around to sue you. And that's why people aren't covering these groups that are still around. But while I have this opportunity to tell this story, and it's not, it's fascinating on any number of levels. And I really just hope people listen to it and share it with their friends. And, maybe we get a conversation going.
Okay, we got a couple of minutes. You want to give us a rundown on these books? What did you do on the Finders?
All right, so I'm producing a documentary. This filmmaker named Tyler Rabbit, who's based in California. I got into the Finders because I was studying like the Satanic Panic and that's really like Nick Bryant's book, or you talk to anybody about satanic ritual abuse, and they say, one of the firmest, like most verifiable examples of that is the Finders. And so I started looking into that and ended up like going to Maryland and talking to that Ramon Martinez, the customs officer, and that wrote that report. And through that, I ended up talking to a filmmaker. Now I'm producing a documentary. This guy, Tyler Rabbit, he's been working on it for about 5 years. He's gone around. He's talked to conspiracy researchers like Len Bracken and Dave McGowan. He's spoken to children of the Finders. He's spoken to people who knew Marion Petty. He talked to Marion Petty's son. So he's been working on this forever. And I really just wanted to get to the bottom line of do I think there is evidence that it was a CIA group, or do I think it was more of just like a homegrown cult? And, I definitely believe in the latter now.
That it was a homegrown cult.
Yeah. I don't think, I say that, but this new document dumped from the FBI came out, and it turns out that the CIA was looking at Marion Petty and the Finders since before, Tallahassee, which is suspicious. But then again, his wife was a secretary for the CIA. Like my opinion is that it looks to me like it was a homegrown cult. I don't think that the CIA is behind it, but the CIA is in a bunch of crazy stuff that we don't know about. So you got to kind of leave the option open there.
And so that's your next project is going to be this documentary film?
Yeah. It's I believe it's mostly filmed. I don't know that we have too much left to film, and it's just a matter of editing process and just all the post-production stuff, which will probably take forever and get a little expensive, but.
And we can expect more content on the so-called prophet from Pittsburgh at lennyflatley.net, and comes out every Tuesday?
Yep, every Tuesday.
And how many more episodes do you think you got coming?
Oh, I've finished 7 episodes altogether. I think I'm going to have one more, and then there's going to be a lot of bonus content, a lot of interviews with people and stuff. So it's January and February is so-called prophet from Pittsburgh month.
Okay. And one of them is definitely going to be about our lawsuit that we're planning here. Okay, my friend?
Sounds good.
Get a hold of me off the air, okay? We're going to talk about that.
Definitely.
Mr. Joseph L. Flatley, thank you so much. Keep an eye out for his website there, lennyflatley.net. The podcast called The So-Called Prophet from Pittsburgh. Got several books on his website here you want to check out. All kind of topics that are in interest to our audience here. Mr. Flatley, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night. Okay, so then we had Mr. Lenny Flatley. Goes by Lenny Flatley. Goes by Joseph Flatley. Check it out there. This cult here. It seems to me that would be ripe for a lawsuit there. So we'll have a little talk with these guys and see if we can put something together. The law firm of Keith M. Davidson. A little referral there. Thank you so much. Good night. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
Hey, check out our brand new sponsor, Dynamic Solutions 2. That's the number 2. They offer a life-changing dynamic financial solution. The finest in fast, professional, affordable credit repair. Is your credit in bad shape? Do you need a new car? Ready to buy a new house? You want to rent an apartment? Are you going to apply for a job? Any one of these activities, they're going to ask for a credit report and then check out your credit score. Let Dynamic Solutions 2 erase your negative credit remarks. They have affordable monthly prices. They accept Visa, MasterCard, PayPal options available. You go to www.dynamicsolutions, that's the number 2.com, or call 424-888-2820. 424-888-2820. Now, if you enter promo code ED or you mention Ed Opperman, you get a 10% discount. How's that? You get a free consultation, all negative items removed, get back in positive credit position. Dynamic Solutions 2, life-changing dynamic financial solutions. 424-888-2820. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. You get a 10% discount.
Tina Helmuth is writing an ongoing series of fact-fiction books that boldly takes on today's most heinous crimes. Suffer the Little Children, The Wrath of the Father, and Unbreakable. Deeply researched and mixed with the supernatural, good versus evil makes these thrillers